That being said, though, we're jumping straight into today's read through. Zero stalling. The goal is to at least read 5 chapters, so anything more is going to be a win-win. I tried going live earlier, but I couldn't. You can tell I was like 2 minutes late. I apologize. But hey, what's up? How are you guys doing? That being said, today, chapter 1077, brothers and sisters. I am ready. I am excited. So if you guys like what you are going to see, make sure you like, comment, subscribe. Welcome to live chat. Remember to guard your privacy and abide by our community guidelines. Thank you. The fool who lives his world. Thank you for the reminder. Remember, everybody, follow the guidelines. That being said, let's go right into it. Chat needs to refresh on screen. I forgot to do that. Chapter 1077. Are you guys ready? It's called The 4 Choices. Your 4 choices for today, Ellie, is you stay with me on my left, you stay with me on the right, you stay right here on my lap, or you stay with me on the bed. Pick one. But you're going to hang out with me. It's too hot outside. You got to chill here. All right, chapter 1077 is called 4 Choices. What kind of saint-sealed artifact do I want to choose? Derek Brick subconsciously considered what he needed. Due to the fact that the sun pathway was rather powerful, he was rather powerful against the monsters in the darkness, and with the thunder god's roar, he didn't even have the desire for the... Oh, man, you can tell I just ate, man, my voice. You fell for it easy? Did I? There you go. It's on screen now. There you go. It's on screen. And the thunder god's roar, he didn't have the desire for sealed artifacts that provided offensive or supportive effects. Instead, the pain from being beaten up while making friends made him subconsciously hope to obtain a mystical item that could provide stronger defensive capabilities. As these thoughts flashed through his mind, Derek suddenly realized that the question wasn't directed at the saint-level sealed artifact he wanted, but which saint-level sealed artifact could be used for exchange for the creator's cross for Mr. Foe. Okay, that's what he meant. He hesitated and frankly asked, "Your Excellency, do you have any suggestions?" Colin glanced at him and left his... Oh, hold, give me a sec. I just ate, so it's like... I haven't cleared my throat. I feel like I got a little piece of chicken in here somewhere. Oh, man. What was it? He needed his help. Do you have any suggestions? Colin glanced at him and left his rigid position. He slowly walked to the window and turned around. There are 4 sealed artifacts that are relatively suitable for you. The first item is called a Sword of Silver Dawn. It was left behind by an elder who died 1,300 years ago. With this sword in hand, one can hide their malicious intents and certain actions, effectively interfering with divination and prophecy. They would obtain an exaggerated amount of strength and bring their surroundings to a dawn that can resist evil and degeneration. It can also stir up a powerful destructive hurricane of light. It can... Ooh, I think he can use this. It can create an invisible, sturdy defensive wall around the wielder. Every time it connects to the land, its defensive strengths will be unshakable. At the tip of the hilt is a single-eyed, huge, mothered-headed engraving with living characteristics. Feeding the corresponding herbs, essential oils, and medicine to the engraving will give the Sword of Silver Dawn different effects. For example, lightning strike, freeze, purification, decay, and exorcism. I forgot our honorific today. Wait, I'll say it right now when we finish this chapter. This sword has strict requirements for its usage. It's impossible to lift up if one isn't at least 180 centimeters tall. Below 200 centimeters, it will be hard to unleash its full strength. In addition, the head engraving as the hilt is very fond of talking. It's always talking nonstop. You know what? I like this already. It's always talking nonstop. If the wielder doesn't respond, the Sword of the Silver Dawn might suddenly give up resisting at the critical moment and even attack its owner. If the wielder is willing to converse with the head engraving, they will be pushed to the edge of madness. This is what I want, a sealed artifact that's good at defense, Derek muttered to himself. He didn't interrupt the chief's explanation as he quietly listened as he introduced him the other sealed artifacts. The second is Twilight Mask. This is from the first chief. The first chief, it's a mask from it's a mask made from a skull. It can hide any malicious intents, thoughts, and inclinations. It makes the wearer feel like a dead person without any thoughts. What the heck? As long as one puts on this mask, one will possess the power of a real giant and have control over the undead. Any living creature that looks directly into the eyes of the wearer will immediately die. Even those that possess godhood would seriously be injured, and even one with like a true form would be injured. And even without any direct eye contact, the target of the wearer will slowly wither away as if they were floating across a river of death. The person wearing this mask can also create a terrifying twilight storm Any item stained with a dim light will disintegrate, rot, wither, and die, losing the vibrancy of life. Most of the attacks, aside from the purification, are ineffective against the wearer of the Twilight Mask, as though no one can kill a dead person. This Twilight Mask is extremely powerful, but it's extremely dangerous. Even if not doing anything, the people around it would suddenly die one after another for no reason. Therefore, it must have a proper sealing method. No matter who it is, once you put on the mask, you will hear the sharp shriek and howls that seem to come from deep within the underworld. This is a psychic attack that will drive people crazy and make them lose their minds. At the same time, as long as you wear this mask for more than 5 minutes, you will permanently become its slave. This doesn't sound good. This does not... Definitely. Bet. What's up, dude? Welcome. Thank you for joining. You will definitely become its slave. This sealed artifact is almost useless. Although it's powerful, it can only be sealed. Only a mighty existence like Mr. Fool can ignore its negative effects. Derek opened his mouth but didn't say a word. Okay, here, Ellie. Go on to bed. Go on to bed. Chill. Just hang out. Just hang out for a bit. But didn't say a word. Colin Ilya did some recognition. The music is way too low. And continue, the third item is called the Life Cane. It can control beyond creatures with low intelligence and reduce their insanity for a short period of time. It can use incomplete spirits and various materials to complete the ultimate alchemical life. Oh, shit. This could create an ordinary human that can exist for a long period of time. It can also create different dolls that can be used for battle and various kinds of things. This includes stone golems, mud golems, and steel golems. Any living creature lashed by this king would have an increased tendency towards madness and losing control. The bodies would also have a certain chance of mutating, producing watermelons, mushrooms, and wheat. Okay, I'm not gonna question that. Okay, of course these things cannot be eating, as they would result in contamination. As for the living beings touched by the cane's tip, they'll be healed no matter how seriously injured they are. Other than those that have already lost control, this cane will fill the surrounding areas with vibrant life force. Be it plants or animals, it can grow without exuberance and reproduce rapidly. Unfortunately, it's useless against this land that it's cursed. Okay, so we can't use it here, but anywhere else it'd be good. The person carrying Life's cane has a high chance of mutating. The long one holds it. The higher... Let me let Ellie out. 1 sec. And before I check, let me just quickly read the first 5 chapters for today. Just to be fast. Yeah, I'm sorry. Just because I know I am still gonna have to go to the gym later with my girlfriend. I do at least wanna let me just quickly get through the first 5 chapters and then we'll go back to it. This will result in additional organs or even them having missing body parts. Being replaced by various plants sounds very sinister. For some reason, Derek felt a little horrified. Finally, he couldn't help but ask, "What's the 4th sealed artifact?" "It's from a demon which lost control. I hunted it and called it Fallen Flute. This is a plain-looking silver flute. However, once someone blows it..." Fun fact, you guys might not know this. I played the falanut. I played the flute back in the day. However, once someone blows it, the living around it will fall into an unavoidable illusion. Their anger, sorrow, pain, greed, vanity, arrogance, and other desires would rapidly swell. Some would have their mind explode. Others will lose their sanity or experience a loss of control. Being in the vicinity of the fallen flute, all sentimental beings other than the wielder will significantly have their mental facilities deteriorate and will easily make mistakes. At the same time, the wielder of the flute is exceptionally sensitive to danger. Sometimes they can even predict the possibility of a threat to their lives 1 to 2 days early. Wherever this fallen flute is, once humanity will gradually degenerate and all kinds of desires will enter the center stage as their beliefs are cast aside. That sounds dangerous. The wielder will also turn cold and be unable to have normal emotions again. The more they use it, the more they carry it, the worse it will be. And this might result in conflict with their own pathway actings, leading to an increased risk of losing control. We're not getting to this. After introducing the 4 sealed artifact, Colin Inley had light blue's eyes, which seemed to be filled with stories, looked at Derek and said, "What do you think?" "I need some time to consider," Derek replied rather skillfully. "Indeed, this is really important to you. You can't rashly make a decision," Colin nodded. 3 days later, we will set off for the afternoon town camp. Tell me your answers before we set off and reserve some time to familiarize yourself with the sealed artifact. "Yes, Your Excellency." Derek bowed seriously and left the chief's room. He was in a rush to return home to pray to Mr. Full. Instead, he planned on heading for the training field first to temper his various sun domain theoretical spells. I read that wrong. Bro only gives out trash opinions. Trash options. He's like, well, technically the first one would probably be good. At least the first one. I don't know about that flute. That flute sounded kind of sketchy. Even the fucking mask, right? But the first one was like, I'll take the sword, or what was it, for like defense. I'll take that one. You just gotta talk to it, but you just gotta be careful with how you speak to it. Like, as long as you balance the talking, I think it'll be okay. This was a habit engraving deep within the pulses of every single person in the city of Silver. Only a self-deprecating person who could endure hardships would be able to live longer in this desolate and dark lands. In a dark alley in the Backland Bridge area, Shio once again met the Golden Mask MI9 member who clearly showed kindness to her. The judge potion formula might take some time. The Golden Mask man said this was because although the investigation into Shio didn't continue, it didn't end. Shio pursed her lips and nodded as though she had finally made up her decision. I don't want that formula anymore. You gave up? The Golden Mask man was surprised and couldn't hide his joy. Shio didn't directly answer. She turned her head and to the side and said, I'll exchange all my contributions for cash. After hearing her answer, the Golden Masked Man nodded in relief. It's best that you understand. Let bygones be bygones. You, your mother, and your brother will have a brand new future. Yes, if your contributions are exchanged for cash, it'll be around 2,000 pounds. I hope you gain more. I'll help you gain more. After that, you can continue being an outer circle member of MI9. Having an official status is very useful for unaffiliated beyonders. Shio was silent for a few seconds before her lips quivered. Thank you. She could clearly sense the kindness coming from the man in front of her, so she sincerely thanks him. However, there was no way she was giving up. The reason... Shit, dude. There was no way she was giving up. The reason why she chose cash was because she had already reserved the judge potion formula from the world of Gurman's Bro. The crazy adventurer had also claimed that this disciplinary paladin potion formula would subsequently follow. At the same time, giving up on the surface could effectively dispel the suspicions of MI9. Okay, yeah, wait, hold up. So it's like a double positive. You get money, and you're like, okay, now she's not going to advance. After briefly explaining the progress of the previous commissions, she obeyed for a while to the Golden Masked Man and left the alley. On Tuesday morning, Force went out early and came to the Hat Trick Inn in Sherwood Borough, where she met her teacher, Dorian Gray. This is one of the things to take note of in Spur World. This is the portrait of Bautis. Dorian covered his mouth and yawned before handing a thick stack of papers to Force. Force wasn't in a rush to read the documents as she cast her gaze on the portraits. On it was a black-robed man who likely wasn't even 40. His brown hair was slightly curled, but it gave off an uneasily firm feeling. His dark eyes seemed to contain countless objects. This is the Saint of Secrets. Force rubbed her fingers together and used her trick master power to burn that portrait. Not bad, very cautious. Dorian nodded approvingly. He then carried his suitcase and said to Force, I have to return to Prince Harbor. It will arouse suspicion if I come to Backland for too long. Force knew that the situation in Backland had been tense recently, so she was eager for her teacher to leave as soon as possible. Therefore, she didn't hold him back and watched him leave the room. Now I lower the volume. Then, with the help of the door opening, she walked all the way to the alley behind the hotel. Just as she was getting her bearings and turning into a street, she suddenly saw a man. Oh, it's him. It's him. She suddenly saw a man in a black trench coat walking over. The person swept a glance at her before looking away naturally. However, For's back muscles tense up. Yeah, she knows who it is. Her eyes reflected the other person's appearance. A man who likely wasn't even 40. His brown... Oh, shh. Coincidence? I think not. A man who likely wasn't even 40. His brown hair was slightly curled up, but it gave off an unusually firm feeling. His dark eyes seemed to contain countless objects. His eyes? His dark eyes seemed to contain countless objects. Okay, next chapter is called The Hidden Secret. All right. The chapter kind of... For a second, I thought I was going to say The Hidden Sage, because I read The Hidden... I was like, wait, hold up. What are we going to learn this one? But okay, good. Good it's not him yet, right? Saint of the Secrets of Bautis, Force had experienced many things recently to the point of being watched by Kings of Angel, so she didn't show any signs of abnormality. She retracted her gaze in a natural manner and didn't slow down her pace as she walked towards the man in the black trench coat. After a few steps, they brushed past each other. That he happened to pass by here because of the attraction between the bionic characteristics. If he knew the teacher was here, he wouldn't be so slow and would use teleport to chase after him. Luckily, teacher had already boarded the carriage and left the inn. Force's heart calmed down, her tense mind relaxed a little. She took a few more steps forward and looked up at the sky. She wanted to confirm if it would rain later. At this moment, a raven... Oh, fucking I'm on, bro. A raven? Come on, man. I'm pretty sure I've seen artwork with like a raven and Amon in like the same picture. Come on, it's him. At this moment, a raven flew over and landed on a tree along the way. It faced the spot where Force had just passed by. Force stopped thinking about Saints of Secrets Bautis as she maintained her speed and left the street. Okay, that's it. We're not gonna elaborate on the crow, on the raven. That's it. It's definitely him. He's watching. As Aurora Order hadn't held a gathering in Backland for a long period of time, and with a target being a demigod, Force didn't have any thoughts of seeking revenge for her teacher. Ignoring her lack of combat strength, just finding and locking onto a secret sorcerer was nearly impossible task. It's best that I will wait till I become a traveler. I might encounter Baltus by chance before entrusting Mr. World to the corresponding mission. I'll take the time to save up money. Now it's certain that the Aurora Order has saints in Backland. I can't eliminate the possibility that during Baltus' travel elsewhere today, he was influenced by the attraction force of Beyond a characteristic and had accidentally lost his way in Backland. I don't know if I'd say an accident, maybe. Force very naturally considered looking for the world Gurmitsboro's help. From what she knew, this gentleman had killed 2 demigods with his own hands, and he had only become a demigod for 3 months. And the upper echelons of the 7 churches, they only had about 10 demigods. Based on Mr. World's progress, it will take him at most 2 years to wipe out the powerhouses of the church. Now, of course, the real world isn't any ideal measurement. Having received higher education, Forrest, who had been a surgeon, gradually left her thoughts wander. She walked to the street and boarded a rental carriage. Above the gray fog was a mini gathering with the son Derek and the Hanged Man, Alger and the world Gurmitsboro. However, unlike before, Mr. Fool was present as the witness because the son's main motive was to find out which sealed artifact could please this great existence, as well as to exchange it for the cross left behind by the creator. At the same time, he still had some questions to consult Mr. Hangman and Mr. World about, so he had applied for a private exchange. Sword of Silver Dawn, Twilight Mask, Life's Cane, Fallen Flute. These are all items that have an outstanding powers and negative effects. Ones that require sealing. This also confirms that the City of Silver doesn't have any beyonders from the Artisan Pathway. All the spoils can only be formed naturally. Even with a godlike sealed artifact, they can shatter the characteristics, but they are unable to reform them in a better way. As for the Fool, Klein listened to Lilson's description. He quickly analyzed the pros and cons of different sealed artifacts in his mind. The first thing he did was eliminate the Twilight Mask because the negative effects of the sealed artifact from the City of Silver's first chief were too great. Although Klein could let his marionette wear this mask and cut off the oral senses, thus avoiding the continuous howls and screams. Furthermore, he didn't have to worry about his marionette becoming a slave to the Twilight Mask. However, in that case, his actual body might become a member of the dead who died suddenly for no reason. Following that, Klein similarly gave up the Fallen Flute for the same reasons. This sealed artifact ability to predict danger ahead of time was indeed better than Desire Apostle and Creeping Hunger. It was alluring, but the negative effects were also not easy to avoid. Yeah, they're both pretty bad. If Klein used this flute and with his actual body, he would gradually turn cold and lose his normal emotions. This would be completely contradictory with the concept of using humanity to battle godhood to maintain balance. And if he were to hand it over to his marionette, he would experience a significant decrease in his mental facilities and easily make mistakes. This caused him to lose his main advantage as a Beyonder of the Seer Pathway. In addition, this flute will make the people around it give themselves up to degeneration and desires. I don't want the residents of the Buckland Street to be degenerates who give up on their morals. By then, how many illegitimate children would be born? Fuck, man. That's not a good idea. I can only consider the Sword of Silver Dawn and the Life's Cane. Klein mumbled silently before quickly choosing between the two. The Sword of the Silver Dawn's head engraving seemed to have a living characteristic. To Klein, this meant that the communication was possible, and as long as they could communicate, the negative effects could naturally be reduced. As for the height restriction, he could just ignore his thickness and only focus on his height. After all, this didn't affect a clown due to his extremely high sense of balance. Regarding the problem of mutation with Life's Cane, he could avoid it by handing it to his marionettes. When he lost or gained any organs, he could heal himself with Flower of Blood, and causing the surroundings to be filled with vitality, allowing for flush growth, wasn't much of a negative effect. Since the negative effects of the two sealed artifacts weren't too serious, he had to consider their effects. The sword, he has to pick the sword. Like, there's no shot he doesn't. The Sword of the Silver Dawn was clearly from a demon hunter of the warrior pathway, but its attacks or defense, they were both potent. It could hide his malintent and be good at dealing with devils. As for, this sounds like something that's going to aid him a lot if we do go to war, right? It's going to aid him in attack and defense? Come on. As for Life's Cane, it was good at creating and causing mutations, which made it rather sinister. After a few seconds of consideration, when Derek asked for the answer, the Fool Klein spoke unhurriedly, as though he was discussing something ordinary. Wow, man, my voice. The cane. In the end, he decided on Life's Cane. In fact, the Sword of Silver Dawn and Life Cane had their own pros, making it a tough decision. Klein's final decision stemmed from an uncommon reason. The sinister life king could be described as bizarre. Okay, that's gonna help him digest his potion. I didn't even catch that. The sinister's life king could be described as bizarre, so it could effectively aim in him acting as a bizarre sorcerer and raise his Wait a second. Isn't he holding a cane in that one artwork where he had like a hood and like a long hair? Right? No, that has to be his Hermes disguise. So he's holding the cane. Oh shit. Wait, okay, maybe that's okay, hold up. And raised his potion digestion speed. Yes, Mr. Fool, Derek replied, unable to hide his joy. This meant that when he completed the sacrificial and bestowment ritual, he would obtain the cross from the creator. After determining this, he cast his gaze at the figure at the bottom of the long bronze table. Mr. World, often other than the complete brain of adult mind dragon, do you still need a relatively high sequence potion formula for the planter pathway? As the secret passage of the giant pathway's court was shared by the world, he became the target of Derek's questions and not by Mr. Fool. Chat is so dry. Yeah, no, I feel like we're pretty quiet today. You know, it's only like 10 of us today. Yeah, so it's pretty chill. I feel like it's chill and relax, right? I'll take it. Since we're only going to be doing like 5 chapters, I think it's okay. And then that way, I actually don't have to stall for too long. Of course, to Derek, the world was Mr. Fool's blessed. His answer represented Mr. Fool's intentions to a certain extent. A relatively high sequence potion formula for the planter pathway. Sitting at the end of the long bronze table, the Fool client immediately had a headache and fell into an intense eternal struggle. He could roughly understand what the chief of the City of Silver's thought process was. On the other hand, the experienced demon hunter hopes that he can usher in a bright future through the giant king's court of exploration. While on the other hand, he's still cautious and doesn't hold much hope. He prepared to continue staying in the darkness, so he mentioned the planter potion formula to see if Mr. Fool had the corresponding authority, or rather the faction that he watches over have a need for it. If this could bring about a certain feedback, it would effectively improve the survival of the City of Silver. Meanwhile, on Klein's end, Frankly had recently come to believe that he's just one step away from his research goals. When he becomes a druid, and then he's going to be a demigod. No, he's already a demigod. No, he's sequence 5. When he becomes a druid, he should be able to succeed. This made Klein very hesitant on whether he should give him a push. I don't know what the future holds. I'll just focus on what's in front of me. A sequence 5 Beyonder who doesn't even have godhood wouldn't be able to do anything too serious. Furthermore, Ma'am Hermit is already a demigod. It's not a big deal. It's not a big problem for her to watch out for Frank. Klein thought for a moment and let the World Government Pro say sequence 5. Wait, what if there's more? Derek pressed. Wiz got mad that Klein didn't take the cool sword and chose the lame cane. He's like, he should have taken the cool-ass sword. You know what? Like, to be fair, he already has a shitload of canes, right? He's already dripped out with canes. I would have liked it if he changes his appearance a little bit and took the badass sword, but I get it. He's choosing the thing to help him be, like, bizarre, right? So, like, all right, I'll take it. Klein felt that he was being tested. After a few seconds of silence, he said, if your side is willing to give it, then that works. All right, Derek didn't probe any further. Instead, he asked the person beside him, Mr. Hangman, I have a strange feeling about this. Why did the chief suddenly mention the relatively high sequence potion formula of the planter pathway? The hanged man Alger looked at the world, grim and Sparrow, and said, this should be a test from your chief to see if the City of Silver can change its environment. I remember you mentioning that you only know that the goddess of harvest is the giant king's queen, and according to the records of the Sanguine from the moon, the goddess of harvest is named Omebella. Your City of Silver originally believed in her. I was originally only certain that the name Umbella was real, so I didn't have any inclination towards other explanations. Now, with your chief suddenly taking out a relatively high sequence potion formula that you didn't know before, this makes me suspect that Moon is right. This means that your City of Silver hid the fact that they once believed in the goddess of harvest. Oh, that explains why they had it. They even deliberately didn't mention her true name. There must be a huge secret behind this. A huge secret. Derek thought seriously, but he couldn't think of any secret. I can't think, man. Fortunately, this wasn't an important matter to him. He quickly ended the private conversation and returned to the City of Silver to prepare for the exchange of sealed artifacts. Yeah, I stand by Wiz's crash out. I stand by his crash out on not taking the badass sword and choosing another cane. Son of a bitch. But it's going to help him be a Bizarro at the end of the day, right? A bizarre sorcerer. Chapter 1079 is called The Hardworking Gardeners. Above the Great Fall, Klein, who was sitting at the full seat, beckoned for the unshuttered crucifix. The bronze cross was tied together with an ordinary-looking button, and at the surface of the ladder was already covered with a layer of crystalline but heavy-feeling particles. This was the Hermit Cat Leo's judge button. It was reserved for Judgment Shield at the price of 3,500 pounds. Therefore, Admiral Stars had sacrificed it to Mr. Fool in advance, requesting the mighty existence to get an angle under him, shatter it. Wow, I am sweaty. Woo! And on Monday's Terra Gathering, Shield had made a reservation for the Judge Potion formula at a price of 2,000 pounds. According to their agreement, just as Audrey wasn't to share anything they obtained for exploring the Grizel's travels other than knowledge, she was only providing free help for the world-killing Hyven Rambus. As for the star Leonard, he had the right to sell the potion formulas and historical knowledge, but obviously Judgment Shio trusted the world Gurman Spare more. They don't judge him enough. The purging should I trust Gurman more than you. The purging should be almost done this way. I can trade the Unshattered Crucifix with Little Sun without any worries. In the future, if there are any other similar requests, I'll definitely be more willing to trade with Little Sun. Instead of asking Mr. Fool for help, no one would dare frequently disturb a hidden existence unless there's really no other way. When Little Sun has a chance to become a demigod and transform the Unshattered Crucifix into a special characteristic, I should be a sequence 3. Damn, man. That's gonna be sick. I'll be able to use the power of this mysterious space above the Grey Fog to shatter a sealed artifacts. I'll be able to use the power of this mysterious space above the Grey Fog to shatter sealed artifacts. I'm excited for that. After the disinfection process of the Grey Fog, Adam probably wouldn't be able to rely on the Shattered Crucifix to lock onto Little Sun. However, even if he were able to find it through this, it wouldn't be too serious. His brother Armand knew long ago that Little Sun is related to Mr. Fool. And you know what? And he chose to do nothing. So yeah. Yes, I can send it in Discord, but IDK which channel? Because the clip highlights is for your clips. I don't think it matters. I think it's cool. You can probably just add it on general. I think it's cool. Yeah, general. General's fine. Yeah, it seems that Amon can freely enter and leave the Forsaken Lands of Gods. I think it'll be funny. I wonder if that's also the case for Adam. As Klein separated the Uncharted Crucifix from the button that had begun to praise the sun, he looked at the Beyond characteristic that had been purged while waiting for Little Sun to hold a sacrificial bestowment ritual ceremony. The city of Silver within the spire, Derek Burge had finished setting up the ritual. He watched as a black mud-covered doll approached with a wooden cane, which looked like nothing special, as he placed it on the altar. After a serious prayer and doing some work, the illusionary sacrifice and bestowment door opened and took away life's canes, leaving behind a bronze, green, and spiky cross. At the same time, the name of the cross suddenly appeared in Derek's mind, including information of its usage and its negative effects. He suppressed his excitement and first thanked Mr. Fool before ending the ritual. He walked to the front of the altar, picked up the unshattered crucifix, and scrutinized it repeatedly. After tidying up, Derek left and went to a room opposite and knocked on the chief's door. "Come in," calling Iliad's deep voice rang out. Derek turned the doorknob and pushed open the door, walked in, and openly revealed the bronze cross. "Your Excellency, this is the item left behind by the Lord I previously mentioned. It's called the Unshattered Crucifix. The method is to let the spikes on it be stained with the blood on the holder." Damn. That's such a badass item. Such a crazy, wait. That's the same cross that Adam was holding in some artwork. No. It's, no. I think I remember seeing Romero's profile picture holding the cross. It was like a black cross. And I don't know if it was this one, or the crucifix. I don't know if it was this one, the Unshattered Crucifix. The method is to let the spikes on it be stained with the blood of the holder. He deliberately changed the term relic to the item left behind. The white-haired Colin had already cast his gaze over when Derek took out the ancient cross. After listening to the introduction, he walked towards it with heavy steps. He took the item and kept examining it. Finally, Colin Alia placed his thumb on a thorn and allowed fresh blood to flow out. The model bronze green started to peel away the unshattered crucifix, revealing a physical body formed from pure light, illuminating the entire room without any trace of darkness. After an indescribable sacred feeling filled the surrounding area, Colin released his fingers inside. "This is indeed the Lord's item." Shit, dude. This is indeed the Lord's item. Although he was born in an era more than 2,000 years since the city of Silver was forsaken, making it impossible for them to sense the aura of God, this city still had quite a few things that were used to offer sacrifices to the Creator. Every time the black-faced grass was harvested, they would be taken out and used in the ritual. Through a comparison with these items, Colin Aliad could almost confirm the origins of the cross. Derek had wanted to give a response, but the heavy tone in Chief's words suddenly pressed down on his heart, preventing him from speaking. Colin Iliad didn't make any further comments and just stood there silently from the unshattered crucifix in his hand. After a few seconds, the City of Silver broke the silence and said with a slightly hoarse voice, "The return of the Lord's item is a sign. We shall welcome the sign of dawn." The sign of dawn. unshattered crucifix and old cross covered in rust? Oh, it was covered in rust. Rust. Adam has a regular cross in the art we showed you. Oh, it's a regular cross. Got it. Okay. I thought the cross in the artwork was the unshattered crucifix, but no. Okay. Got it. I will hold on to the unshattered crucifix for half a day. I want to gather all the elders in the city to present this item to them. Even I can't casually deal with a saint level sealed artifact since I lost Life's Cane. I have to explain it to the other elders and request to be punished. You must remember that as a chief, you must have the courage to shoulder the corresponding responsibilities. You can't avoid punishment just because you think that it's good for the city of Silver. You might be right this time, but you can't guarantee that you're always right. Don't worry, this unshattered crucifix will eventually return to you. The chief's words are deep and profound. I'll get Mr. Hangman to explain it to me at the next tarot gathering. Derek instinctively wanted to raise his right hand and scratch at the back of his head, but in the end, he endured it and informed Colin Iliad of the negative effects of the unshadowed crucifix. Backland, Northborough, 160 Buckland Street. Klein sacrificed Winter Uni above the Great Fog to ensure marionette preservation. This was to make it convenient for him to use in the future. He planned on getting Earl of the Falling Conus Kilgore to wear the flower of the blood ring and wield Life's Cane. In a day to life, he would create some harrowing and bizarre situations from time to time, helping him expedite the digestion of his potion. This way, Uni had no way of using flower blood to hide in Conus Kilgore's stomach. He needed to hide in a more concealed manner, making it rather troublesome. Therefore, Klein decided to simply leave him above the Great Fog. After all, Klein could create ordinary marionettes anytime he wanted. Why does the action of placing a marionette in a preservation cabinet to keep fresh feel odd? It feels odd. It's not like I'm acting in a horror movie. However, this does fit the name of Bizarre Sorcerer a bit. The angel from the Antigonus family and Zartul family all hang up their marionettes to wind dry. Oh. They all leave their marionettes and I cannot read. The angel from the Antigonus and Zartul family all hang up their marionettes to wind dry, so I'm much better than them. After rubbing his chin, Klein stuffed the ordinary wood-colored cane into a specifically made cane he bought from Misjudgment. He has so many canes, bro. He has way too many canes. He needs to chill with all. He has a big-ass cane collection. Oh, okay. I got you. Okay, well, look at it. I got you, love. Good call. The cane was hollow, and it can be used to contain a sword that wasn't considered too wide. It was perfect for hiding a Life's Cane. After he was done with his work, he allowed the servant who looked like Uni, who was actually Conus, his marionettes are switched, got it, who was actually Conus, to take away his cane and return to the room next door. He washed up his face before getting into bed. While sleeping soundly in a pleasant, relaxed state, Klein's spiritual perception suddenly stirred. He abruptly sat up and crossed his gaze at the attached balcony. The curtains weren't fully drawn, and he could see the situation outside. It was dark green outside of the window with vine leaves, and flowers were growing all over the place in layers. This made him suspect that he had been transported to the forest. Okay. The corners of his mouth twitched as he vaguely guessed what was going on. He rolled out of bed and walked to the balcony, drawing the curtains open. What entered his vision was no longer the garden and residence of Dwayne Thompson. Instead, it was a lush forest. This is what it means to make the surrounding area become filled with vibrant life force, be it animals or plants. They're all flourishing and growing rapidly. Isn't this a little too fast? Klein's expression instantly turned a little blank. Previously, when he had divined the Life's Cane negative effects, he had seen similar scenes. However, the revelation he received was that it wasn't harmful to the surrounding area. Thus, he believed that the growing and the proliferation process took a fairly long period of time and could be effectively controlled, allowing one to pay no attention to it for a very long time before seeing such a scene. With this thought in mind, he observed all his spirit body threads in the surrounding area. He realized that the humans weren't affected at all, but the number of rats and cockroaches was clearly increasing. Ugh. This result made him heave a sigh of relief. He looked out the window of the forest and sighed silently. Indeed, there isn't much danger. It's just quite exaggerated. I still have to keep it above the Great Fog most of the time. More than 10 seconds later, figures appeared within the forest. Some of them were very thin and others were thick. They all wore black trench coats and their faces were very flat. They had no eyes, noses, and mouths. The figures were either crouching or standing, busy burning weeds, cutting the vines, and removing the unnecessary flowers in the quiet night. The next morning, Butler Walter woke up as an unusual and opened the window. The garden outside was bathed in the morning fog. There were some dew and the gathering emitting a fresh scent. Better than yesterday, Walter nodded slightly and praised the two gardeners. The vibrant scene made him feel a little restless as he began missing his wife for no apparent reason, so he left the room in patrol of the estate and made arrangements for all sorts of affairs. Finally, he waited for the entrance of the dining room. Not long after that, his employer, Dwayne Dantes, led his valet Uni down from the third floor. Walter went forward to bow and talk about yesterday's arrangements before taking the initiative to mention it. Sir, I would like to take 1 day leave before the current month's allowance. As he spoke, he suddenly saw the mixed blood servant's neck split open, revealing a black eye. What? Split open. As he spoke, he suddenly saw the mixed blood servant's neck split open, revealing a black eye? What the fuck? Walter was shocked and nearly trembled backwards, but in the blink of an eye, he realized that there was no strange eye on Uni's neck. What? It must be because I didn't sleep. No, what the fuck? Wait, what the fuck was that? It must be because I didn't sleep well last night and had a strange dream, resulting in me being distracted and having hallucinations. Walter heard. What a good way to explain that. Walter hurriedly gathered his thoughts and lowered his head slightly. In his heart, Klein apologized and nodded. No problem. Have a wonderful day. Wait, why is Klein apologizing? How does that make sense? That I don't get. What led to that moment? What led Klein to doing that? Oh, he's acting bizarre. Oh, he's acting. Wait, he's acting. Wait, that makes sense. He's acting. He's acting as a bizarro sorcerer. Got it. That's what he did. It's as simple as that, right? He was just acting as a bizarre sorcerer. I'm on 621. Oh, you almost there? Easy. I just friended you. Oh, hell yeah, dude. Chapter 1080. Is called The Line of Thinking for Acting. After watching Balter leave the second floor, Klein entered the dining hall. As he looked around, he realized that the servants were much more energetic than usual. They even felt a little agitated. Indeed, life's cane also affects humans, but it's not that ridiculous. It's not that ridiculous. It's at a rather normal level and still within acceptable levels. According to this logic, the servants' reproduction abilities would definitely increase. The only problem is that they don't have the spouses, so there's no way to show that. Will Mr. Butler's act of returning home today result in him having another child in 9 to 10 months? His wife is almost 40 years old. It's a little dangerous for her to have children at this age. Of course, as the other party in the copulation process, the effects of life's cane would pass over to them. There shouldn't be any problems. Wait, what? It passed over to them? Man, I wonder if the potential effect will result in an increase in the conceiving a child. If Dwayne Dantes moving into the Buckland Street causes one to have an increased chance of having a children, my reputation would practically be doomed. Klein's thoughts drifted without end. Finally, he concluded in his mind. Life's cane truly is very sinister. In the future, he would only bring it to the real world for so much time each day and try his best to not affect the humans around him. After breakfast, Klein brought his valet Uni to the first floor and prepared to take a stroll. At that moment, 2 chambermaids were cleaning in the main hall. Good morning, sir. Upon seeing Dwayne Dantes approach, the 2 chambermaids immediately stood up, made way for him, and greeted him. Of course, if there were in a more remote corner, they would try their best to not make a sound. Just in case they disturbed their employer, this was something they learned from Butler Walter's teachings. Okay. Klein nodded and gave you some. I noticed I catch myself going, okay. I say that so much now. I'm catching myself saying that. Now I'm being self-conscious about it. It's like I need to change up the word. Klein nodded and gave you a simple response as he slowly approached the door. At that moment, the 2 maids suddenly saw a wheat head embedded in Uni's head. It was full of golden particles and was extremely attractive. Dude, he's gonna fucking digest his potion at this point. Before they can even take a closer look, the valet seemed to have sensed something amiss. He raised his right hand and yanked off a piece of wheat using plenty of force. The 2 maids looked at each other in surprise and amusement. They imagined that Uni had accidentally gotten some wheat on his body when he followed Mr. Dantes over the manor, bringing in all the way back to 160 Buckland Street, where they scattered in place and there weren't easy to clean. For example, under the pillow he slept last night, and in his dreams he pushed the pillow away and ended up lodging a piece of wheat into his hair without realizing it when washing up in the morning and during breakfast. Although this process was complicated and not easily achievable, it was still possible. It can't be that Uni grew a single wheat head, right? 2 maids mumbled to themselves as they continued with their work. A wheat head. After exiting 160 Butland Street, Klein and Uni slowly walked with one behind the other, the withered interparcel trees, breathing in the fresh autumn air. Like him, a number of neighbors were taking a morning stroll. Of course, this was a habit belonging to those amongst Backland's high society. Last year, the smog was very serious, and the air was quite pungent. No one was willing to waste their time in the streets. braving the cold wind and the humidity. As a neighbor, since they had met each other, there's no doubt that they would greet each other when they walked past each other. One of the lawyers glanced at Dwayne Tonsis from the very far corner of his eye. He had raised his hand to cover his mouth as if he was yawning. When the mixed-blooded youth put down his right hand, the lawyer suddenly realized something was different. His nose seemed to be even higher. I must have been thinking too much about such matters, causing me to hallucinate. If only my nose was slightly higher. As for the lawyer thought about this, fucking Klein, dude, he is so funny. As the lawyer thought about it, he raised his hand and rubbed his nose. At the same time, he saw 2 wild dogs engaged in a chase in front of him, attempting to reproduce on the street. After the stroke, Klein returned to the activity room on the 3rd floor and sent a live scan above the gray fog. Indeed, there's a certain effect. The main point of the bizarre sorcerer digestion is actually to create shocking scenes to scare people, as well as use a strange method to make people horrified. This really does resemble a director, but it's just a horror flicks director. Yes, I don't have to really scare them. Peaceful daily life events contain terrifying scenes, but surrounding humans don't notice them at all. They only occasionally made the connection, and when they think about it, they would feel a sense of fear from certain possibilities, to the point of not daring to turn off the lights and ending up having nightmares. That's also a horror film archetype. As Klein observed his conditions, he summarized his experiences over the past few months, and finally summed it all up with the keyword horror film director. Wait, so he's just gonna be so his main principle is being a horror film director. Hey man, I don't have that many friends on Discord. You're breaking my heart over here, dude. After understanding this, he had many ideas on how to quickly digest the potion. Not only did he have to deal with enemies, but he also had to turn his enemies into the main characteristics or important supporting roles in a horror film. This will also be quite troublesome. I definitely have to give my all to the targets at the demigod level. I wouldn't be in the mood to waste my time and effort on pulling some trick. Well, there's no need to find a demigod target. There's no restriction for acting like this. I can teleport to the sea and find some lucky parts to participate creating horror stories. That's right, since I'm a director, I have to let my workers spread. It seems like I have to let some of the actors escape successfully every time and spread the nightmare that the experience creating a corresponding myth at sea. I can't feed them to creeping hunger. As he formed his plan, Klein suddenly thought of a question. In the horrifying legends of the people in the northern continent and the sea, how many of them were deliberately created by bizarre sorcerers? There must be some sigh. If Amon were to act a bizarre sorcerer, he would probably be able to digest a potion in less than a month. Less than a month? Amon would be able to digest this shit in less than a month? His talent, the aspect of astounding, well, yes, he does fit the criteria. His talent and the aspect of astounding, and he doesn't consider the consequences. In truth, with looking for pirates to film the horror movie, I can find an opportunity to scare other demigods. I don't have to fight them to the death. Once my goal is accomplished, I can escape. With this thought in mind, Klein came up with a plan from the supporting role. Hence, he carefully considered his targets. There's no way I can find the angel or higher. Those who I'm not familiar with will make me the leading character of a horror movie on the spot. Those who are familiar with me are well aware that I'm a bizarre sorcerer, so there's no way to scare them. There are many saints that I have no idea about their whereabouts. Frightening the archbishops will easily cause unnecessary chain reactions, causing the world situation to become even more tense and for the war to erupt prematurely. The war will erupt prematurely? After limiting all the possibilities, the most suitable target is the numinous Episcopate's artificial deaths faction demigod, Patrick Bryan, as well as the counselors of Will Ossipton's Fate Council, as well as, after creating a name list, Klein decided to take some time over for the next 2 days to visit Dr. Aaron Cerise. He wanted to bring some ice cream for a certain baby to ask where the counselors were recently seen. If he wanted to frighten someone else's subordinates, he had to get the approval of the president. Klein was in a good mood after organizing his thoughts. He went out again and went to St. Simon Cathedral to pray and donate before heading to the Lone Charity Mercy Foundation, where he stayed till noon. In the afternoon, he saw a few businessmen and professional lawyers and accountants who were seeking investments, behaving like a normal tycoon. After filling his stomach, he returned to the half-open room with the balcony, just as he was considering whether to visit Dr. Aaron Cerise's house directly tomorrow or invite their family to have a nicer dinner at the Strenzo restaurant, which served excellent ice cream. His spiritual perception was triggered. He turned his head and, without any surprise, saw Miss Messenger walk out of the wood with 4 blonde, red-eyed heads. One of the heads bit on a letter. Who sent it? Klein habitually and exceptionally asked. As he had yet to receive the letter, Renette Tanker could only answer with 3 heads. King of idiots? Patrick Bryan, this nickname has even evolved. What the fuck was his old nickname? King of Idiots, Patrick Bryan. This nickname has even evolved. Klein reached out and took the letter. When he opened it, he realized that it was indeed from the artificial death faction demigod. He wrote on the letter, I've already prepared the special ritual that will help my teacher, Hater, recover further. Your Excellency, I will hold it tomorrow at midnight, given your permission. The ritual that points towards the angel Hater. There's no way to avoid the numerous Episcopal Pates, artificial deaths faction testing of Patrick. This can be interfered with using Paper Angel just in time. With a flick of his wrist, Klein bursted the letter. Following that, he took out a piece of paper and wrote down an answer. Yes, you may. You must be careful. In the quiet night near midnight in an uninhabited closed factory in St. George Borough, there was an open area that had been cleared. Nearly 10 black robed figures were standing there. In the middle of them was a deep black coffin that looked rather heavy. Around the coffin were many golden ornaments with mud stains. There were many candles flicking with pale white flames, as well as one skull after another. The hideous white skulls belonged to humans, others from animals. Some were extremely strange and had a deformed look to it. It was hard to imagine their original appearance. The skulls were piled the highest up from the front, with Patrick Bryan standing there. He had also changed into a black robe, but he didn't pull up his robe, revealing a deep outline. He had black hair, brown eyes, and a rather long face. This demigod hadn't done anything, but his surrounding had turned extremely cold, as though the countless invisible creatures were celebrating. As Patrick Bryan raised his right hand, the hooded believers jumped up and twitched a little. It was a crazy and rhythmic dance. This was a spirit dance, a ritual that deaf loved the strong spirituality of the dancers. The better the effects. As the dance became more intense, a cold and formless wind blew out from the coffin. Patrick Bryan lowered his head and recited in a language that seemed to come from the underworld. The king from the depths of hell, an angel playing the music of death, the ruler above the river stinks. Whoa, shit, dude. His fucking 3-part honorific name here, okay. The king from the depths of hell, an angel playing the music of death, the ruler above the river stinks. That is such a badass honorific name, by the way. Holy shit. So the next chapter is called, well, the final chapter for today. That's not what I meant. No, it's okay, baby. I don't take it that way. No, it's okay. The last chapter for today, just because we're going to keep it short, is called 1081, The Returnee. Chapter 1081 is called The Returnee, with Patrick Bryan's chanting. The bones around the black casket were gradually stained with a dark green eye, the blended with the white, bringing out an extremely scary sensation. As the spirit dance became more and more intense, as though the voices from the underworld were constantly reverberating, the bones floated up one by one as they possessed lives of their own. Let me raise my volume up just a little bit. As they were lives of their own, as though they possessed lives of their own. Then they were cast towards the heavy and pitch black casket and what could be described as orderly chaos. You already made it to 2025? I mean 2035. No, I mean 2035. Yeah, for the movie. Yeah, my bad. That's what I meant. 2035. It extended on the spot, emitting a cold aura that was high and mighty. This made Patrick Bryan instinctively tremble and lower his head. This was an angel, the aura of a deaf console. Fuck, dude. Oh, shit. So this was the same aura fucking Zik had when he was a deaf console. That's badass, dude. At that moment, the believers of death, the ones who were dancing in spirit, all collapsed to the ground with their bodies left convulsing. That's pretty gross. Their consciousness became muddled as though they were touring the underworld. And above the gray fog, with the help of his marionettes, prayer points of light, the full Klein secretly heaved a sigh of relief because the leader of the numerous Episcopal Pates, artificial death faction, and the angel who was sleeping in the mausoleum, the high priest Hater test, didn't exceed his exceptions. Using the enslavement and control higher sequence beyonder of the death's pathway had on lower sequences beyonders. He could directly obtain information from Patrick Bryan. From a certain point of view, this was an interrogation at the psyche level, something that Klein was rather proficient at dealing with. He immediately let the red priest card fly into his hand and enter his body. All of a sudden, Klein had a dark red draped over him. Okay, he's taking on the appearance of it. This appearance seemed to look like the rust and settled gunpowder. As for his face, it was covered by a dark gold mask. The patterns on it were ancient and set off a contrasting appearance with the crown he wore that he embedded with gems that sparkled red, blue, and green. Following that, he mobilized all the powers of the mysterious space above the gray fog that he could, turning them into invisible turrets that surrounded the paper figurines he had prepared in advance. Through the prayer lights, it shot towards the undying Patrick Bryan. At this moment, Patrick's body trembled slightly due to the feeling of submission he felt towards his teacher's aura, as though he could see layers of holy wings. Klein had hidden the exact appearance of the flaming angel, allowing a portion of it to be revealed. This also meant that he had interfered with the special effects. Definitely being a director. One holy wing after another enveloped Patrick before vanishing, causing him to hallucinate in confusion. As a sequence 4 demigod, he quickly came to his senses. He realized that he no longer yearned to submit and not being able to disobey his teacher's orders. His consciousness seemed to have been pulled out of his body as he stared calmly at everything above the mind world. At the same time, as a zealot, Patrick Bryan didn't hesitate to view Angel's Embrace as a gift from death. There was no doubt about it. At that moment, in a deep vortex formed from the black casket, an old and cold voice sounded out, one that could rip out a person's soul from their bodies. Not bad. Any progress in awakening God recently? Patrick Bryan followed the instructions given by the Blessed, and he described his efforts and intuitions in a half-truthful manner. After a series of questions and answers, the deaf domain angel on the other side of the vortex hater didn't suspect anything. He calmly said, "Very good, continue doing it, I will support you." He passed for a moment and nonchalantly said, "I'll send you an assistant first, a Sequence 5 gatekeeper, to help you in completing the corresponding tasks to relieve your stress." Is that what his excellently mentioned and not being at ease with me? Teacher is indeed unwilling to see me gain favor of the god and threaten his position. Having been slowly influenced by Klein through his daily communications with him, Patrick Bryan, who had slowly changed his mindset, had no way of rejecting such kind intentions. He could only answer politely, "Yes, teacher." Just as he said that, the pitch-black vortex suddenly opened up. It transformed into a mysterious pattern, conjuring up a pair of indescribable double bronze doors. With a creak sound, the door opened and a crack widened. There was still darkness behind the rift, and there seemed to be eyes hidden in the depths of darkness, quietly watching the outside. At that moment, a palm stretched out and rested at the door cracks. Its skin was rather pale, allowing one to see the blue blood veins underneath. With a tug, a figure leaped out of the door. He was a young, tall man wearing a black robe and red linings with the hood pulled open. His facial features definitely acting very bizarre. His facial features were gentle and his skin was slightly brown. It was obvious at a glance that he was from the southern continent bloodline. He was rather handsome, but he looked anemic. Stepping out of the solid ground beneath his feet, the young man didn't even glance at Patrick. He raised his hand and looked into the sky. The corners of his mouth curled up and narrowed his eyes and sigh. This intoxicating atmosphere. As a beyonder of the death pathway, even this guy is looking a little bizarre. Very bizarro. Even though he's a death pathway, very bizarro. I feel like everybody's acting very bizarro now at this point. To be ignored by someone whose sequence was lower than his, there was no doubt that Patrick Bryan was a little angry, but in front of his teacher, he had no choice but to follow the flow at the end of the ritual. During this process, the full Klein's response above the gray fog was even more intense than Patrick, because through the gray fog's true vision, he can see the abnormality of the new gatekeeper. The gatekeeper's internal underworld expanded in an odd manner, covering every part of his body, and there was only one soul in the underworld, a young and handsome soul with red hair. Red hair? Red Angel Medici? He was sent to the underworld. Yeah, at the end of Volume 4, but I know he came back, right? But he was like fused with the others. A young and handsome soul with red hair, signs of rotting on his face, and a flag mark on its glabella. It wore black blood-stained armor. Okay, it's definitely Medici. Klein wasn't unfamiliar with the soul, for he immediately recognized it. The Red Angel, evil spirit, SAURON EINHORN Medici. This fellow has returned from the backland. This fellow has returned to Backland again, and had a certain working relationship with the Angel of the Numinous Episcopate's artificial death. Klein instinctively took out the Red Priest card and accompanied the Tyrant card before summoning the Seagot Scepter. He planned on giving the Red Angel Evil Spirit a zap of Lightning Storm. I don't think that's going to work. But as his thoughts raced, he restrained the impulse and gave up on the corresponding thoughts. This would expose Patrick Bryan's problem and let the Angel from the Death Domain guess that something had happened to artificial death. This wasn't beneficial to the everyday goddess control and digestion of the death pathway's uniqueness. Amidst his thoughts, he quickly left the world above the Grey Falcon and returned to the real world. He made his marionette secretly leave the clothing factory and teleport away with his body. He had originally planned on creating a shocking experience for Patrick Bryan after the ritual. He had even made some preparations beforehand, and now he could only give up to prevent the Red Angel evil spirit from discovering him. Inside the clothing factory, the young gatekeeper who had been possessed by SAURON EINHORN pulled his hood even lower before turning his head slightly and looking in a particular direction outside. This was a spot where Klein Marionette, Conus Kilgore, had been hiding nearly a kilometer away from the factory. After staring at it for a few seconds, the young gatekeeper revealed an obvious smile just as Patrick Bryan was about to say something, planning to use his identity of the person in charge of the numerous Episcopate's artificial death faction to haze the envoy of his teacher. His spiritual perception was triggered. He turned around in a bizarro. He turned around in a bizarre manner, casting his gaze on another building and a factory. On the second floor of the building, behind a glass window in a room, there was a pair of emotionless black eyes staring at them. Patrick Bryan's eyelids twitched as his body suddenly vanished. Ooh. A cold wind blew, causing the glass window to rot silently. Without any movement, it crumbled into countless snowflakes. In the corresponding room, a skinny Patrick in a black robe and a thin face emerged. He saw the mask of the pair of the cold black eyes was a rough mud doll. Who made the doll? Who moved? I assume a very bizarre person made the doll. Who made the doll? Who moved it here? Patrick looked around cautiously, not missing any corners. Just as he turned his gaze towards the corridor and faced the glass window with his body slanted, the crude black eyes of the mud doll suddenly turned. Then it raised his hands and grabbed Patrick's neck. What the fuck? Halfway through this action, the mud doll seemed to lose its support and lose all mobility. Many cracks appeared on its surface as it instantly shattered into pieces. Patrick Bryan's figure dispersed first before he appeared in the corridor, standing at the collapsed doll as if he was facing a most powerful enemy. At that moment, he had really jumped in fright. Although there were all sorts of bizarre and harrowing matters related to the spirits, it was still quite scary for a puppet to suddenly come alive without the influence of external spirit body threads. The mud doll lay there quietly in fragments without so much as a stir. Patrick Bryan waited patiently for a while before finally confirming that there was no more abnormalities. He shuttled through the spirit world once again and returned to the place where the ritual had been held. At that moment, the heavy pitch black casket had completely decayed. It was as if he had been buried in the ground for centuries, if not millennia. As the surrounding underworld believers were slowly recovering from their semi-consciousness state, Patrick Bryan looked around but couldn't not find the young gatekeeper sent by his teacher. He didn't know what he had left behind. Isn't he here to spy on me? The demigod of the death pathway was at a loss. Taking into considerations and abnormal discoveries he had made, the living mud doll Patrick Bryan didn't delay any further. He quickly snapped his followers awake and cleaned up the scene and removed all traces. I think we all locked in. After I'm trying to lock in. Yeah, just because I am only doing 5 chapters, so I do apologize. After he was done, he suddenly heard a voice. Is the clothing factory yours? Patrick Bryan's figure instantly disappeared and appeared again, not facing the person who spoke. That was the young gatekeeper who had gone somewhere. No, Patrick frowned slightly. How could he do such a thing in his own factory? If he was exposed, wouldn't there be no way out? Not too stupid, the young gatekeeper nodded gently. Patrick narrowed his eyes and suppressed his anger. Where did you go? The young gatekeeper chuckled and said, I visited some familiar spots and met a friend. I don't know if I'd say a friend. The young gatekeeper chuckled and said, oh, I guess, is he referring to Medici as a friend? Am I tripping out? Is that what he's referencing? Is that what the gatekeeper was referencing there? I visited some familiar spots and met a friend. Okay, so, but like, okay, the gatekeeper is the one that's being possessed by Medici, right? That's what you mean. The one that has his, the one that he fused with is the gatekeeper itself, right? Not that he ran into him, but the gatekeeper is the dude that's been fused with Medici. Okay, got it. I was like, wait, I don't get it. I was like, why am I confused? Okay. That makes so much more fucking sense. I'm like, how the fuck did he just yes? Okay, thank you, Kemi. I'm telling you, I can't do this without you guys. Okay, same person. I thought the gatekeeper ran into the one that fused with Medici. Are you gonna react to Wiz Crash Out? It's pretty short, but if it's okay, it's okay. If it's not, let's watch his justified crash out. Overall thoughts, though. I mean, we can say it right here. I think this was good. I do apologize that we only read 5 chapters. But we're going to make up with that by looking at a valid crash out.
The cane. God, you're so fucking cringe, Klein. You fucking cringe lord. You could be a fucking knight and you choose to be a walking cane. Oh God, you senile old motherfucker. Oh God, you God.
What the fuck?
You irritate me.
Damn, that was valid as fuck.
Sorrow sorcerer. Oh, so you're only thinking about now? What about when you become a scholar of yore? A scholar of yore would have.
He's. I had to break it to you guys. Well, you guys would know. He's definitely not gonna pick the sword at that point. What the? I've never seen this artwork, by the way. What is this? What is this? Who is this? Fuck, is this Derek or Amon? What's with the molecule? I've never seen this artwork before. What is this?
Have a sword because knights were from the years of yore. God, this motherfucker. Melee and Lord of the Mysteries is just mid. You're fucking.
What? Wait, I didn't catch that. What was mid? Oh shit, I played the whole thing. Wait.
Sorrow source. Melee and Lord of the Mysteries is just mid. You're fucking mid. God damn it, Arter. Melee is never mid, okay? What? I'm gonna be shooting guns. Pew, pew, pew. Bro, you could. He has fucking distance. He has distance.
This is valid.
He could just pew, 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 air cannons forever. So now he needs a sword at close range.
You know what? I think that's a valid crash out. I think that's valid. I think that's valid. I think that's warranted. All right, man. We are gonna end it there. I am gonna upload this quickly. I need to hold myself accountable for missing the gym, so I gotta go work out. We'll be back tomorrow for more. I just heads up. I don't know if I'm gonna do more than 5 chapters because I'm debating on when to watch the episode. Wait, what the fuck? Where's my OBS go? So it's like oh wait, let me switch to this one. So it's like I either watch the episode on, I don't know. I'm gonna see. Nah, it's not cringe. I think that was warranted. You haven't met that yet? Wait, no, he's lying. Atika too much spoilers in that guy's videos? Whose videos? Oh, are you guys talking about the power system? I don't know if I can watch it yet, to be fair. I don't know if I can watch LOTM's Ellen Historian's power system video. But if I can watch it, I think it's fine. I don't think he's gonna be saying sequence 0 for everything. So I think we're safe. If I can watch it, you guys let me know. I'm down to watch it. I do want to watch more LOTM videos out there. I want to be able to watch like an in-depth LOTM video with like full context behind everything. That's my life goal. So if we can watch that in the future, you guys let me know. We'll check it out. That being said, we're gonna end this part of Art Read Through. Just don't watch any of his videos until you finish COI. Oh man, it's gonna be a while. We are gonna take a break, man, before we read COI. Best to stay safe and don't guess. Speed to check just spoils everything all the time. Well, I know sometimes he does justify his spoilers in some parts. At least the parts I've heard, right? I haven't looked at his older videos, so I don't know how spoilery they are. But I'd rather not. Okay, we'll avoid them just to be safe. That being said, though, peace. Have an amazing day, and I'm gonna see you guys all very, very soon. Ooh. Check my wallpaper. Check my wallpaper. Check my wallpaper. Check my wallpaper. Bam! Look at that wallpaper. That's a badass wallpaper. All right. That being said, peace. Have an amazing day. And I'm going to see you guys all very, very soon. All right. Later, guys.